morning. It is the Corrections Code Enforcement meeting for September 14th, 2023. Present today are Councilman Schramm and Councilman Hockett, appointed officials, Public Safety Director Justin Day, Finance Officer Chandra Phillips, Code Enforcement Officer Chelsea Luce, Assistant Jail Administrator Jeff Augsburger, and we have a lieutenant with us today, Mr. Vober. How are you?
Good.
Welcome to the party.
Thank you.
Chelsea, what's so funny?
Party.
Party. You like that? At this point, I turn it over to Mr. Day. Guide us through your itinerary. It looks like we will work through 3 topics on corrections and 3 maybe on code enforcement.
Yep.
Fire away.
Okay, well, we will go ahead and start. I will turn it over to Assistant Administrator Augsburger, and he can start going through corrections.
So we're at 162 today. The average for the month is 166. The average for the year is 161. Our laundry machines that were budgeted for this year, 1 washer, 1 dryer, have both been installed.
Awesome.
The washer's up and going. The laundry or the dryer still needs a little bit of work. There's a vendor locally that'll be coming in to change the pipe from a 3-inch to a 6-inch. That was something foreseen. That was planned for. They had a scheduling conflict, otherwise it would have been done at the same time. But Mid-Dakota came down and they got them in place for us and got the washer dryer pair that were old and 10 years old to either surplus, used for parts, or be thrown away. So the medical supervisor has identified his first student for the Med-Aid training that'll begin. It sounds like first week of October that'll start. Our hopes are to have 1 person through the instruction by the end of the year, and we've budgeted for a couple more, I believe, for next year to receive that training. So other than that, don't have a lot. Questions?
Anything in your budget that seems alarming to you at this time, or anything out of the ordinary that comes to mind?
Not at the moment. Been looking at what we have left for the remaining quarter of this fiscal year and digging into that. For the most part, our larger purchases have all been taken care of, and now it'll just be really managing what's left and making sure we stay above that bottom or below that bottom line.
With only 75% of the of the year accounted for on this, and we're at 90% on prisoner care. What's prisoner care?
Prisoner care is going to be their uniforms, the starter kits, that they get the hygiene items when they first are.
So we won't spend probably any more money in the last 3 months?
So what we'll do is we always start out January, February, March probably are our heaviest months for prisoner care.
Okay.
It's just because for finance purposes too, we try to shut down and try to have a larger inventory. We try to build an inventory, say, for the first 8 to 10 months. So them last 2, we don't have a ton of invoices coming in that need to be paid out of this budget because a lot of their billing cycles for these companies will be into the next fiscal year. So we're gonna get darn close, and we did estimate we may go over on prisoner care, but our intentions are for it not to be too much, that this was a planned to be 90% at this point. But yeah, the uniforms, the sandals, blankets, sheets, mattresses, hygiene, some over-the-counter medical stuff, all fall into that prisoner care.
Council, any other questions on corrections? Okay. Looks good. We are 70.28% of the way through the year, which just blows my mind. 29.72 to go. Looking at the bottom line, it's at 50.36, so you guys have managed her pretty well up to this point. But there are questions. It was good to hear about the washer and dryer. I think that's essential in your day-to-day operations.
Big thing.
That and food.
You get the third page for corrections, it actually shows the transfers coming out, it gives you a better, so it'd be page 38.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not printed off in here, which, that ultimately will show that some of the transfers did come out.
And changes that percentage.
It does,
Yeah.
yeah. It'll be
38.
38.
It's always the third page right behind an enterprise.
That's when there's transfers involved, right?
Good point.
If nothing else, then we will go over to Chelsea. Code enforcement.
Okay, first thing on my agenda here, there's gonna be a variance request coming to the council on Monday. It's for 1034 Iowa Street. The individual is looking to put a garage that's going to be larger than the main square footage of her home. Based on the surrounding buildings, the size of her house, it's a rather small house. And the neighbors are all on board. The neighbors are all family, so. Our board is sending it to you guys with their approval. I will have a letter signed by our chairman, Byron Foreman, by the end of the week, and I'll get that to Chandra to put in your city council agenda. But it's a 3-car garage. If anybody wants to come and look at photos, or I've got photos of what's surrounding it. She's got an explanation. She's also got photos of the garage that will be put in.
Do you have
It's
any square
nice.
foot comparisons, like what the garage is gonna be? compared
Not
to
off the
that?
top of my head.
But you can see it on the drawings, probably.
Yes, yep.
It'll be up there, okay.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
So we have an ordinance that says you can only have a garage a certain percentage
Has
of the
to be
size
less
of
than
the house?
100.
It's gotta be less
100%.
than the house,
of your main floor, of the square footage of your main floor,
yeah.
so,
It just has to be less.
yep.
Less square
So it could
footage.
be 99%, but it just has to be less than 100%. So, like I said, this is, the house in question here is a very small house, and she's looking for a 3-car garage because she has collectible vehicles and needs the storage based on the size of her house. So, she owns 3 lots there, and it's actually technically in our industrial zone, so.
Oh. Is there do you know any history on that? Why would that be an important thing to have a garage smaller than your house?
I couldn't tell
Does
you
anybody
the-
know?
the ordinance on that.
Don't know.
I think it goes back to, and this is just me trying to remember past councils and what was going on, but back in the 90s, there was a fear of people building garages that were bigger than their houses that would actually become hunting lodges in the city of Winter.
Oh, my.
This also, when you take a look at this lodge, I think, or this ordinance, it says running water. There's stipulations on
Yeah,
running water. You can only have so much.
yeah, I believe you can't have a kitchen or something like
Right.
that, within it,
I
so.
I know about the non-living essentials, okay?
The square footage
In
was,
a garage. I didn't know that the square footage was part of it.
it was.
Yeah.
I believe, Brad, I'm not 100% on that one, That's just what I've heard through conversation.
Okay, because I think of the late Wayne Meyer, if you asked him how come he had 4 garages, because Tom Schramm had 3.
I can believe that happens in winter.
Yeah, I didn't realize that we had, I knew about can't have living quarters in a garage, but I didn't know about that it had to be smaller than your house.
Also the thought, people building these huge Montgolf garages, work on tractors and everything right in the core part of town, we didn't want that, we didn't
Okay.
want them huge.
Well, you were on the planning commission probably.
Not at that.
Not quite.
time.
Not at that time, huh?
That was
Okay.
before that, but that was some of the fears.
But
and
that's the
thought
thinking
was-
behind it.
Yeah, yeah, you just don't want your you don't want the core part of winter looking like a industrial zone.
Sure.
So, there you go, Brad.
I just,
Interesting thought. I hadn't heard that one. Thank you, Joe.
if you don't know it, you don't know it, and I didn't. Gosh, I wonder if my garage is bigger than my house.
No,
Isn't it?
no.
Okay.
You got a building,
I got a building permit.
so you went through the process and it was, you didn't get a variance request, so without a doubt,
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
guessing it is.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, yep. And it's not, okay.
So like I said, if you guys want to look at the plans, she submitted some good stuff and all that,
My
so.
question is,
Yeah.
how much, you know what I mean? I mean,
And you know,
like,
it's not a lot. She actually was looking at something bigger, so it was gonna be a variance
a
request for.
three-car garage shouldn't be a lot
Right.
bigger than
She was looking at a little bit bigger. She was gonna do a variance. She initially came in because she wanted a variance request for, distance to the street. Because
Closer
it
to the
was.
street, you say?
Yep. It was
That's
gonna be
'cause they don't wanna
16
buy the
instead
concrete.
instead of 25. She changed that when I let her know that, hey, we're gonna have to do a variance request as well for this being larger than your house. And so she actually changed the dimensions on it, made it a little bit smaller. She's just pushed it up so that it met the setback at least.
Okay.
But it's still, like I said, it's not a very big house, and she's got 3 lots there. The garage is actually gonna sit on 2 lots, so Attorney Jensen is also writing up an agreement with it that states that these lots will never be replatted and it'll all be sold as one, so that we don't have a situation where somebody would replat it, just sell the garage, and then the house is on its own, so we don't have an accessory building that's out of place, so.
So it's not gonna be an attached garage?
Nope,
Okay.
nope. And next item is the Schaus ordinance. Just have my committee, that's wanting us to get back to taking a look at that. I believe Cody started it, having a hard time finding anything that was actually started on it. Gotta do some digging. Paul thinks that he'll be able to find a few things that they had actually initially started on it. And so, like I said, this is just a request from my committee that we get back to looking at the Schaus ordinance.
It really falls in line with your first agenda item, a Schaus.
Yes, it does.
Without a doubt, the garage space on a Schaus is way larger than a home.
No.
So,
But other cities have Schaus ordinances,
Mm-hmm.
like I think Spearfish and some of them other ones, we could look at those. and
Yep.
See
Yeah, I
what we
don't-
like, what we don't like.
Yep. I
Is
don't
that the
think
same
it'll
as
be
tiny
difficult.
house though?
No.
No?
No.
Schaus is not?
So,
No.
I think for this, it's more like that they're worried about building materials and what is actually going to go on the inside. So if we have a situation where somebody has a great big garage and a teeny little apartment in the back where maybe they're running a business out of this or something and they're getting away with it by having a Schaus instead of, trying to have. I guess what I'm trying to say is one thing that was brought up to me is they don't want people building a house with the saying this is a residential deal and actually turn it into a business and office. So,
a Schaus, Brad, to answer your question.
I thought that was a shed house.
yep,
It is.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
a name
Shop
for
in
a
a house.
Schaus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shop in a house, okay, yeah.
There's some big
big beautiful ones up at Spring Creek Development up north of Pier there,
Well,
all over
that
up there, and
on,
they're huge, but it's a private development up there,
Yeah.
but they've got $800-900 million houses. and
There's
they're
one, a
beautiful.
really nice one on Lucas Road, overlooking the river,
Yep.
Yeah.
so.
East of Winter.
Old 1806.
Out by my dad's, there's two houses built out there, out in that vicinity, where our new friends just moved to town from Indiana. Back on that road from Osborne's, going down that road, there's two houses out there.
And what's his name in Colom's building that one?
Yep,
It take him a while,
Osborne.
but between here and Colom, it's on the right side of the road. He works for, I think county, I think
Kevin?
that guy, what's his name? He works for the
Kevin
county.
Osborne,
Yeah, he works for the county. But he's building that house there too, and it's.
Yeah.
right along the highway, yep.
It'll be interesting where these would be
They're coming.
zones.
They're coming.
Yeah, they're coming, but to take and put one in our residential zones the way they're defined now would not work. I think you're looking industrial ag zones possibly.
Like I said, all stuff that we
We'll
gotta,
look
we
at.
gotta see if Cody had anything, if I can find
Sure.
anything that Cody had started and,
Yep.
that Paul and my committee and I all work through, so.
Just like tiny houses, it's a changing world. We have to
Yes,
adjust and
yes.
figure out what's gonna work for our long-term plan.
Is that still an issue, the tiny houses? Are you getting?
I
any
haven't
requests
gotten any
for
more
that?
calls on it, so.
Okay. I just
We
wondered
did,
how
I did
big
have
they-
to, talk to them about, parking surfaces, but I haven't had any more issues, so.
What next? Underground houses?
Right.
You never know what's coming.
Bunker houses.
Bunker houses, the technology. Today's day gets going. Okay.
Boy, if you come inside my house, I must have a shouse. I got all kinds of junk in it.
Typically a house, there's a garage door or multiple leading into there. I don't see a garage door on your
Yeah, you
house.
got.
I built a
defined
separate
areas.
garage.
Yeah.
In the house, you have defined areas for the living quarters and then the shop, and it's a well-defined wall. It's a fire
Yeah.
rated wall. and
Oh, okay.
All sorts of things, and a vapor barrier wall for whatever you're working on out there between the living space. I mean, there's some of that design engineering that goes into them.
Yeah.
But they are the thing, they're coming, and people are loving them, and transitions are loving
A
them.
lot of value in them too.
Yeah.
Well, we had like radiator shops that the guy lived right in it. So that would be your definition of a house?
There you go.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know back in those days if they were exactly coded properly.
I understand.
Yeah,
Yep.
so the ordinance it needs to be very well defined.
But
as
you don't
far
want
as-
shouse businesses all over the residential.
In
section.
residential,
Not
yeah.
winter, You know. we
Because
just-
the ones I think
that
of are
would
all
be-
in commercial,
Right.
Yeah.
as is my shouse.
It's not a,
You just put
You're
stuff
pushing
inside
the
your
button.
house. Is that what-
Yeah. I got
You
tools
see
in
them a lot out in the
there, yeah.
hills and.
Stuff that
and in
can't
those
freeze.
places.
Big out there.
So I'll move on to the racetrack if we're good on the Shouse discussion. Justin and I went out there when I got back, and it's in a pretty serious state of disrepair. It also hasn't been mowed all year, which is on me. I got to dig it in a little bit more, because I know so if there's anything over 2 acres, you're allowed to use it as you can hay it once a year, but you have to hay it at least once. So didn't read it close enough. If there are any structures or improvements that are done on a piece of ground, you have to continuously mow it. You can't use it as hay ground. And so courtesy letter was sent yesterday to them with several violations, including exterior, their fence is falling in, so that was part of that. The mowing, we've got paint, shingles, cracks in walls and all of that stuff. So for those things I asked, the bigger things I gave them 90 days to contact me with a plan. The mowing's supposed to be done in 10. We'll see. So that's gonna be a big project that we start working on here. So I'm hoping for a phone call soon, so.
a phone call to give it back.
That's a separate discussion. That is completely unrelated to what she's talking about. I know what you're talking about, Councilman, but this has become a separate issue. This is just property maintenance issue.
Well, I understand that, yep, and if we go in and mow it, we should assess that mowing accordingly,
Oh, yeah.
so that they'll want to give it back.
It'll be,
Well, and we have to.
Yep.
We have all our policies in place, just like with
Yep.
any other property within the city of Winter. If our guys go in and mow it, then it is assessed accordingly to that property based
Yep.
upon the rates that.
Trevor's gonna be
council has set.
really happy with me.
And since we probably haven't mowed it all summer, we should allocate, like, mowing it once a week.
No, at that point, we just charge. what
I,
we
yeah,
did.
I have to charge the hourly of what they did.
But it'll be
so.
more hours because. it's
But
gonna
it'll be a
more-
bunch of hours.
It's gonna be a lot bigger
Bunch
job.
of,
so
bunch of
it'll take more
hours,
time.
so.
And as that unfolds, we'll kind of keep everybody in the loop, but it'll be no different than any other property within the city of Winter, and, you know, the courtesy, and then the first initial fine, and then the second and the third, and then going from there, so, it'll be handled no differently than any other property within the city of Winter. It will just, it's now in with everything else.
Perfect.
And I do have one just little item to add. I have a meeting with Blake Tideman, our contractor, or our engineer. We're meeting at the theater at 10 o'clock to just discuss taking down that final wall that's left there. I'm gonna have him write a letter that just gives us instructions on how it needs to be done, so that bases are covered. So, meeting with him at 10 if anyone wants to join, so.
And I would hope that'll be on top shelf when we find out how to do it, that we get it done right away, so that they have time to
Yep.
do their insulating before cold.
Yep, and actually before I left for Alaska, the crew was wanting to get started on it, but Blake had a bunch of things on his agenda that he needed to get done and couldn't get here till after
Yeah.
Labor Day, so it worked out because I wasn't gonna be here till after Labor Day anyway, so.
Good.
So like I said, we're meeting today
But
and.
that needs to go on top shelf.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
And that will go down to, Troy and his guys to.
That's my point,
See
yes,
where,
that-
yep,
it-
yep, so
We all need
she
to get it
will
on the
give
top
the
shelf.
letter and the instructions over to where that needs to go, and then, yep, absolutely.
And that's,
Anything
you're
else?
gonna know that today, huh?
Yeah, I'm meeting with him at 10, so.
Okay, good.
Any other questions, council?
No.
Kill the camera, and
Okay.
if you got questions.
Holy cow, Jody.
Right at 8:30. I know.